Well, there's a good chance that you have already voted. So far, more than 61 million Americans have taken advantage of early voting, most of them voting by mail. Now, in this final stretch, can the Postal Service handle all the ballots? For the past 3 months, our investigative unit has been testing the U.S. mail. Tonight, we find delivery problems have grown. Here's senior investigator Stephen Stock.
We sent out more than 800 letters nationwide this month, and we found that performance dropped significantly for 3-day delivery. However, that's not likely to have much of an impact for vote by mail, even nationwide, because we also found that after a week, the U.S. Postal Service is right where it's always been for years, between 98 and 99% successful delivery.
My partner and I were just walking the dog. This is our usual walking route.
April Thomas's usual walk through her Oakland neighborhood earlier this month turned unusual when she stumbled upon something strange.
Right here, and I saw a huge pile of mail in the street over here.
When Thomas went to take a closer look,
the whole area just covered with mail pieces, and there were 5 ballots, real ballots in it.
So right in here?
Right here.
And so you picked the mail up and you looked and you found ballots in here.
I mean, you could see the ballots right on top. One of them was already open. I didn't have my phone with me, so I picked the ballots up and took them home with me, took a picture so I could document it and send it to the county.
In an election where a record number of Americans have already cast their vote through mail-in ballots, April Thomas agonized that her discovery might be a sign of trouble.
Another one that could be 5 people disenfranchised just sitting right there in front of me in the street, so I was really worried about it.
April isn't the only one.
None of our ballots have arrived.
Nearly 100 residents in Berkeley waited weeks for their mail-in ballots to arrive, and as of last week, they still hadn't.
This year have been having a lot of problems with mail delivery. Have not had mail in the last 3 days.
Because of these issues, for the 3rd month in a row, our investigative unit teamed with NBC LX and NBC-owned stations across the country to put the Postal Service to the test to see if the system delivers as promised. We mailed out more than 800 letters, a third of them from the Bay Area. In all, almost twice as many letters as we mailed in September. Our team mailed letters from San Francisco, Oakland, and San Jose to 50 different cities around the country, 2/3 of them here in the Bay Area, as well as to L.A. and San Diego, and cities as varied as Miami, New York, Washington, Dallas, and Chicago. This time, with the election just weeks away, we found significant slowdowns. In our August and September test, 88% arrived within 3 days, but in October, that dropped to only 79%. The good news, most of the mail was delivered within a week, more than 98% in August and September, more or less the same in October, although a handful of letters each month never made it to their destinations.
Changes must be made to ensure our sustainability for the years and decades ahead.
New Postmaster General Louis DeJoy implemented changes this summer that this Postal Inspector General's report released last week said caused problems, stating the resulting confusion and inconsistency in operations at postal facilities compounded the significant negative service impacts across the country.
Election mail will not be delayed.
While DeJoy was not available to answer questions about this latest decline in performance, top postal officials held a virtual news conference last Thursday where NBC asked them about the October decline in performance.
We take seriously our mission. The Postal Service is deploying all available resources to ensure that all election mail moves timely through our system and gets to the intended recipient on time.
There's no question that election mail is getting absolute priority treatment.
Mark Dimmenstein is national president of the American Postal Workers Union based in Washington, D.C. While acknowledging the recent issues with the Postmaster General's changes and reduced performance, he says they will not affect mail-in ballots.
So I wouldn't necessarily conflate the what's happening with the mail overall with what's happening to election mail. I think election mail is going to be treated and should be with great priority.
Our voters in Santa Clara County and in the state should feel comfortable voting by mail.
Santa Clara County Registrar of Voters Sharon Bushy says voters should not be too worried, especially here in California, where by law, this year, ballots postmarked on Election Day can arrive as many as 17 days later and still be counted.
But if you have any concern whatsoever about the post office, you have 2 other choices.
Most Bay Area counties have already set up dozens of ballot drop box locations.
You can drop that off right now at any one of our official drop boxes. And your second choice is on Halloween, when the 100 more vote centers open, drop it off at any vote center.
Or bring it right here.
Or bring it to the Registrar of Voters office, yes.
The Postal Service's Kristen Seaver would not answer direct questions about why there was such a decline in on-time performance for 3-day delivery in the month of October, even though the Postal Service's own internal numbers released late on Friday showed much the same decline when compared with September. A spokesman in Washington, D.C. also declined to specifically answer questions about our test without a review of the actual mail pieces and mailing conditions. I'm Stephen Stock, NBC Bay Area News.
Stephen, thank you. Our web